Hot dogs may be one of the most misunderstood foods in America. The package shows juicy meat. The commercials show backyard barbecues. But federal rules allow something most shoppers never realize. Up to 40% of a hot dog can legally be fat and added water combined. That's before you even get to the meat. Today, we examined the ingredient labels of America's biggest hot dog brands to find out who's taking full advantage of that allowance and who's actually making a product that lives up to the picture on the package. No rumors, no internet myths, just the ingredient panels, the regulations, and the facts. 6 brands to think twice about. Counted down from disappointing to genuinely surprising, followed by 3 brands that actually earn their reputation. Let's open the package. Number 6, Nathan's famous skinless beef franks. The one writing a 100-year-old story. Nathan's built its entire identity on 1916, Coney Island, a nickel hot dog cart, and a name that still shows up on menus with the word famous attached to it like it's part of the legal title. That story is real. The current ingredient panel is a different question. Flip the package, and the first 2 ingredients are beef and water, which is exactly what you'd want to see, and Nathan's is genuinely 100% beef with no fillers or byproducts, which the label states, and the ingredient list backs up. But sitting further down that list is hydrolyzed corn protein. That's a processed flavor enhancer built to mimic the taste effect of monosodium glutamate, without printing MSG on the front of the package, produced by breaking corn protein down chemically into free glutamic acid, the same compound responsible for MSG's flavor amplifying effect. It's not dangerous, it's not deceptive in a legal sense. It's a workaround for a word a lot of shoppers have learned to avoid, doing the same job under a name that doesn't trigger the same reaction. Sorbitol, a sugar alcohol, is also on that list, functioning as a moisture retention agent rather than a sweetener you'd notice. And sodium nitrite is present, standard for a cured product, nothing unusual there. Price-wise, Nathan's sits toward the premium end of the mainstream shelf, running close to 75 cents an ounce at some retailers, noticeably more than the budget brands later on this list, and that price is buying you a shorter, more recognizable ingredient list than most of what's coming next. The honest read is that Nathan's is one of the cleaner mainstream options on a grocery shelf, which is exactly why it opens this list instead of closing it. Sodium runs in the standard range for a cured beef frank, nothing that separates it from the pack in either direction. It's the mildest offender here, and the offense is a flavor enhancer workaround dressed in a 100-year-old nostalgia story, the kind of substitution most shoppers would never catch without specifically knowing what hydrolyzed corn protein does. The next brand markets itself almost identically, and its formula tells a slightly less careful version of the same story. Number 5, Ballpark Beef Franks, the one that owns the summer cookout in America's head. Ballpark has been sponsoring the idea of backyard grilling since 1957, and the branding leans entirely on that Americana identity. Ballparks, barbecues, the 4th of July, the current ingredient panel starts strong: beef, water, corn syrup. That 3rd ingredient is the tell. Corn syrup in a beef hot dog isn't there for nutrition. It's there because sugar rounds out a flavor profile that plain cured beef, water, and salt don't fully deliver on their own. And it's cheap enough to add without moving the price. Below that sits potassium lactate and hydrolyzed beef stock, both functioning to extend shelf stability and reinforce a meaty flavor that the base formula is otherwise thin on, followed by the standard cure package: sodium phosphate, sodium diacetate, sodium erythorbate, sodium nitrite. Hydrolyzed beef stock is doing the same job here that hydrolyzed corn protein does in the Nathan's entry above, a flavor enhancer workaround that reads as a recognizable ingredient on the label without triggering the reaction the word MSG would. Ballpark markets these franks as 100% beef with no fillers or byproducts, and technically that's accurate. There's no soy, no starch, no mechanically separated anything padding the meat count. But 100% beef describes the protein source, not the finished formula, and the finished formula leans on corn syrup and a 5 additive cure stack to get there. It's a mainstream brand doing exactly what mainstream brands do, optimizing for shelf life and a specific flavor target rather than a short ingredient list. Some retailer listings now show an uncured version of this same product, swapping sodium nitrite for celery juice powder. The same reformulation trick covered in more detail 2 entries from now, without touching the corn syrup or the rest of the additive stack underneath it. The next brand drops the beef-only claim entirely and brings in a meat source most people don't expect to see on the label. Number 4. Eckrich Bunsize Franks. The one that quietly leads with the cheapest protein first. Eckrich has spent decades as the dependable, unglamorous option in the cold case, the brand nobody talks about, but plenty of people buy without thinking twice. Flip the package, and the first ingredient is mechanically separated chicken, a head of pork, a head of water. Mechanically separated poultry is produced by forcing chicken bones with attached tissue through a sieve under high pressure, extracting a paste-like product that's legally classified as meat and, per current USDA rules, has no federal cap on how much of it can go into a hot dog. That means Eckrich can build the base of this product almost entirely around it and still call the result a frank. Corn syrup shows up next, followed by modified food starch, which does structural work a properly formulated meat emulsion shouldn't need help with. Sugar appears further down the list alongside the standard nitrite cure. Modified food starch is doing the same job here that it does in a cheap jarred pasta sauce, adding body and moisture retention that a well-formulated meat emulsion built from named cuts wouldn't require in the first place. None of this violates any regulation. Mechanically separated chicken is approved, labeled correctly, and perfectly legal. But the marketing around Eckrich leans on comfort and familiarity, not on the fact that the leading ingredient is bone-adjacent poultry paste, rather than a cut of meat you'd recognize. Eckrich sits at a mid-range price point, cheaper than the beef-only brands, more expensive than the true budget option waiting at number 1, occupying the exact middle ground its formula actually represents. The next 2 brands take that same mechanically separated approach and layer even more processing on top of it. Number 3. Oscar Mayer Classic Wieners, the most recognized name in the entire category, and arguably the one doing the most work to obscure what's actually inside. Oscar Mayer built one of the most successful branding campaigns in food history around this product. The jingle, the Wienermobile, decades of cultural saturation. The current ingredient panel lists mechanically separated chicken and mechanically separated turkey as the top 2 ingredients. A head of pork, a head of water. 2 different mechanically separated poultry sources blended together before a single named cut of meat appears on the list. Corn syrup follows, then a run of processing aids, sodium phosphate for moisture retention, potassium chloride as a salt substitute, sodium diacetate and sodium benzoate as preservatives, sodium ascorbate to stabilize color, and sodium nitrite to cure it. Some current retailer listings show a parallel version of this same product that swaps synthetic sodium nitrite for cultured celery juice, letting the package say, "No added nitrates or nitrites," because the nitrite in cultured celery is naturally occurring rather than synthesized, even though it functions identically once it's in the meat. The mechanically separated chicken and turkey blend leading the ingredient list stays exactly the same in both versions. That's a preservative swap marketed as a health improvement while the underlying protein source doesn't change at all. Oscar Mayer's packaging states these wieners contain no fillers or byproducts, and under the technical USDA definitions, that's true. Mechanically separated poultry isn't classified as a filler or a byproduct. It's classified as meat, but stacking 2 different mechanically separated poultry sources on top of pork, with no single named cut of meat leading the list, is a formula built around the cheapest legal path to meat, rather than around a specific cut. Decades of brand equity, built entirely on jingles and cultural familiarity, rather than on what the ingredient panel actually discloses, is doing the heavy lifting here. It's the most trusted name in the aisle, running the least specific ingredient list of any brand covered so far. The next 2 brands make Oscar Mayer's approach look almost restrained by comparison. Number 2. Hillshire Farm Little Beef Franks, the one leaning on a 1934 founding date and handcrafted sounding branding, sitting next to a standard industrial cure stack. Hillshire Farm's entire brand identity rests on the word farm and a founding date old enough to imply generational care, honest ingredients, the kind of product a family butcher would have made before industrial food processing existed. The current ingredient panel is beef, water, corn syrup, then a run of additives, dextrose, potassium lactate, natural flavors, sodium phosphate, sodium diacetate, sodium erythorbate, sodium nitrite. This is ingredient for ingredient, close to identical to the ballpark formula covered 2 entries ago, which makes sense once you know both brands are now owned by the same parent company, a packaged meats conglomerate that also owns several other refrigerated case brands sold as if they were competitors to each other. 2 different names, 2 different label designs, 2 different brand stories, 1 nearly identical formula sheet. That handcrafted farmhouse-style branding isn't describing a materially different manufacturing process than the mass-market brand sitting next to it in the same cold case, sold by the same corporate parent. It's describing a feeling. The ingredients tell the actual story. Corn syrup as the 3rd ingredient in a product marketed on heritage, and a 5-part cure and preservative stack indistinguishable from its more overtly commercial sibling brand. That's a wider gap between the story on the front and the formula on the back than anything covered so far. And the worst offender on this list pushes that gap even further while adding a meat source most shoppers never expect. Number 1. Bar S Classic Bun-Length Franks, the one that calls itself America's best-selling hot dog while running the least meat-forward formula of any brand covered today. Bar S markets these Franks with a claim printed directly on the package, based on annual volume sold, that this is the #1 hot dog in the country. That claim, if accurate, means more American households are feeding this specific formula to their families than any other hot dog brand on the shelf. Flip the package and the first ingredient is mechanically separated chicken, a head of water, a head of pork, a head of a contains 2% or less list that includes beef almost as an afterthought, followed by corn syrup, modified cornstarch, sodium phosphates, potassium lactate, potassium acetate, sodium diacetate, sodium erythorbate, oleoresin of paprika, sodium nitrite, and smoke flavoring added artificially rather than developed through an actual smoking process. That's the longest additive stack of any brand on this list, built on top of the same uncapped mechanically separated poultry base covered in the Eckrich and Oscar Mayer entries, at the lowest price point of any brand covered today, running close to 10 cents an ounce in family pack sizes, roughly a 1/7 of what the cleanest brand on this list will cost you later. Bar S is marketed as America's value leader, and on price, that claim holds up completely. But the best-selling hot dog in America, by the company's own stated metric, is also the one built furthest from a recognizable cut of meat, propped up by the widest additive list and the fewest restrictions on its primary protein source. Volume sold is not the same thing as quality, and this is the clearest demonstration of that gap in the entire lineup. It closes out the skip list not because it's dangerous, none of these 6 products are, but because it's the widest possible distance between a marketing claim and a plain read of the ingredient panel that this investigation found anywhere in the hot dog aisle. If this investigation is changing what you're reaching for at the store, a quick like helps this reach someone else who's about to grab the same 6 brands out of habit. Now, the 3 that actually held up. Best option number 3, Wellshire Farm's Uncured Beef Franks, the Whole Foods exclusive built on a genuinely short ingredient list. Wellshire has spent years positioning itself as the clean option, specifically for shoppers who already read labels, sold exclusively through Whole Foods Market, rather than chasing broad mass market distribution. The ingredient list backs that positioning up: beef, water, sea salt, then a short run of raw sugar, spices, natural flavorings, vinegar, cherry powder, cultured celery powder as the natural source of curing compounds. No mechanically separated anything, No modified starch, no synthetic nitrates or nitrites, no artificial preservatives, no growth hormones or antibiotics in how the cattle were raised. Wellshire also runs a sugar-free version of this same product, built specifically for households cutting added sugar, which tells you the company is building variations around specific dietary concerns rather than a single formula meant to cover every shopper at once. The trade-off is availability and price. You're not finding Wellshire at a typical grocery chain outside the Whole Foods ecosystem, and clean sourcing costs more than a mass-market formula built around the cheapest legal protein source. For shoppers already inside that store, it's a genuinely clean, verifiable option with nothing hidden in the additive line. For everyone else, it's a reason to specifically seek out a Whole Foods run. Best option number 2. Pederson's Natural Farms no sugar added uncured beef hot dogs. The one that removed the ingredient most of this list quietly depends on. Every brand covered in the skip section relied on some form of added sugar, corn syrup, dextrose, or brown sugar to round out flavor and support browning. Pederson's ingredient list is beef, water, then under 2%, salt, vinegar, celery powder, tapioca starch, potato starch, natural spices including paprika, and natural flavors. No added sugar of any kind, which matters beyond a nutrition label. It removes an entire category of formulation shortcut that every skip list brand used to compensate for a thinner base flavor. No synthetic nitrates or nitrites beyond what naturally occurs in celery powder. No MSG. The cattle are raised without antibiotics or growth stimulants and fed no animal byproducts. And the beef is grass-fed rather than grain-finished, a sourcing detail none of the 6 skip list brands mention because none of them control for it. The texture runs firmer and drier than a corn syrup-softened mass-market frank, a genuine trade-off that comes with removing that ingredient category entirely rather than reformulating around it. And it's the kind of trade-off worth knowing about before you're grilling for a crowd expecting the familiar mass-market texture. It's also certified for keto, paleo, and Whole30 diets, which matters less as a health claim on its own, and more as a signal that the formula was actually built around those restrictions, rather than retrofitted to loosely qualify. For anyone specifically avoiding added sugar, this is the cleanest widely available option covered in this entire video. Best option number 1, Applegate Organics The Great Organic Uncured Beef Hot Dog. Not close. Applegate built this product around a certification standard that goes further than natural or uncured claims that most competing labels use loosely. This hot dog uses organic grass-fed beef from cattle never administered antibiotics or added growth hormones and never fed animal byproducts. USDA organic certified and additionally certified through a regenerative agriculture standard, meaning the grazing practices used to raise this beef are independently verified to support soil health rather than simply avoiding synthetic inputs. The full ingredient list: organic grass-fed beef, water, then under 2%, sea salt, organic vinegar, baking soda, organic granulated garlic, organic paprika, organic spices, organic dehydrated onion, cultured celery powder, organic cherry powder. 10 ingredients, 9 of them recognizable pantry items, and no synthetic nitrates or nitrites anywhere in the formula. That USDA organic certification is not a marketing claim a company applies to itself. It's a legal classification requiring independent, ongoing verification of the entire supply chain, from how the cattle are raised through how the product is processed, the same category of external accountability that separates a genuinely verified claim from a phrase a brand simply chose to print on the front of the package. Applegate is also, unlike some of the smaller clean brands covered here, distributed widely enough to show up in most major grocery chains, not locked behind a single retailer, which matters because the cleanest option on a list like this is only useful if you can actually find it. Price runs meaningfully higher than anything on the skip list. The honest cost of organic, regeneratively certified beef with no shortcuts built into the formula. But compared to the other 2 best list brands, Applegate pairs that price with the widest shelf availability of any clean option covered here, which is the rare case of a product actually delivering on the promise printed across the front of the package. It's the clearest demonstration in this entire video of what real meat actually requires when a company builds toward it deliberately instead of backing into a marketing claim after the fact. Here's what this investigation actually comes down to. There is currently no federal cap on how much mechanically separated chicken or turkey can go into a hot dog, and 3 of the 6 skip list brands built their formulas directly on top of that gap. Mechanically separated poultry, ahead of pork, ahead of water, ahead of any specific named cut of meat. The other 3 skip list brands are technically 100% beef with no fillers or byproducts, exactly as their packaging claims, and still lean on corn syrup and a 5 to 10 ingredient cure and preservative stack to get there. Both patterns are legal. Neither one is what the front of the package is selling you. The brands that held up did one of 2 things. They either kept the additive list to a handful of genuinely recognizable ingredients, or they backed their natural and organic claims with certification standards that require independent, ongoing verification rather than self-reporting. And price alone didn't predict which side of this list a brand landed on. The most expensive skip list brand, Nathan's, still cost less than any of the 3 best list options, which means the gap here isn't simply about how much you're willing to spend, it's about which specific formula decisions a company made with that money once they had it. Before your next grocery run, here's the 60-second version. Flip the package over. If the first ingredient is mechanically separated anything, you're holding a bone-paste product marketed as a cut of meat. If corn syrup or sugar shows up in the first 5 ingredients, the base formula needed help that a better cut of meat wouldn't require. And if a package says natural or no antibiotics without a certification logo backing it up, that's a claim the company is making about itself, not one anyone independently checked. A hot dog should be built from a cut of meat you could name, water, salt, and a handful of ingredients you could pronounce. On this list, that description applied to 3 brands out of 9. You don't need to memorize 9 formulas to shop smarter next time. You need 30 seconds and the willingness to actually flip the package before it goes in the cart. The same habit that would have caught every pattern covered in this video on the first read. If one of the 6 on the skip list is currently in your fridge, you now know exactly what's actually in it. Drop a comment with what you're switching to. Genuinely useful to see what people are actually reaching for out there.